Throw the bear out. Remove the bear from the area. I'm going to tell you all a bear lesson. I'm now dealing with a difficult circumstance. My girlfriend and I have been together for over 4 years. We have the greatest passion in life. Between two creatures, love is possible at all times. In the early days of our relationship, she confided in me that while she struggled to quickly lose interest in her lovers, things were different with me. She had a rather turbulent beginning, I must say. My former partner harassed me nonstop. My girl had a boyfriend. I was kind of somewhere in my mind at the time, so she probably felt like I was slipping through her fingers, which is why I caused her a lot of suffering. After about a year, things began to shift. She was far less interested in me physically. I suppose that coincided with the point at which I stopped causing pain to myself and reached stability. Time has gone by with the etc. Together, we bought a house. She informed me she was talking to her ex 2 months ago, and she is actually pregnant today. She truly wanted to see the guy she dumped for me, etc. Naturally, I was unhappy, but I gave in the end. She's now telling me that she wants to hook up with him for an affair. Says she loves me more than anything and that it is purely physical. She even goes so far as to suggest to me that I should locate a woman to have an affair. As much as I adore her, I have to admit that my heart hurts. Being a devoted man, I could have truly given her my all for eternity, something I never even considered before getting to know her. This is not something I can handle. She told me everything and has always been a really honest person. Nevertheless, she has been concealing things lately. They had a kiss, according to her emails, which I reviewed, and that she intends to visit his home. It truly destroyed me. For crying out loud, her pregnancy is 6 months along. When my child was still inside her, she would cheat on me. Believe me, I have never experienced anything this agonizing. I have no idea what to do. Shall I break up with her? How about the kid? She was the one, I was so convinced of it. Everything in my world is flipped. I genuinely think I own the child. I have evidence that she has been communicating with him since December 14th of last year. There appears to be consensus among all parties. Get away from her. I suppose I will. She had the courage to tell me everything, so I had to give her credit for trying to be honest with me. Despite the fact that she skipped over some of the information I found out later. Knowing me, I would have been too much of a coward to take her place in doing so. People do indeed have a point, there is much too much pain. The infant is the only thing that really gets to me. I want to be completely involved in his life. WTF, people are so dysfunctional. The baby's biological father is not the other man. Recall that 4 years ago, she dumped him on my behalf. But I understand. I disregarded her advice because I believed our relationship to be stronger than it is. However, our love for one another was so great that we were unable to live apart for even a moment. And that continued for a minimum of a year. To be honest, love blindfolded me instead. And it felt really good. The fallout is just as powerful. She's a bright, intelligent woman. With the exception of that bonding-related dark passenger, everything in her is in equilibrium. It is quite difficult to understand. She tells me every day that she is who she is and that she loves me more than anything. Simply put, I've lost the ability to tell the truth. I'm sure I won't be able to handle things the way they are, even if it is true. I am just so saddened about our impending child. If not, it would have been so easy. You know, I was overjoyed to become a father. Everything was wrecked by these problems. I'm still not sure what the heck is going on since it's so cheesy. She dumped him for me after a week of dating the guy, who is now my ex, and not sure how strong the ties were. Thank God, we are not married. Shaggy, you're correct about being a nuke. I'm going to be. There is just him and myself. However, our story is already tarnished in a sense. I'm not sure which direction I'll stay. I had a long conversation with my girl regarding her problems. That isn't new, she said. She used to constantly break up with her partners because she was bored and had no feelings for the man who had dumped her. In our situation, she claims that I am her pillar and that she loves me unconditionally. I hope she doesn't duck think about a food ticket. She probably believes that having an affair will help her control her impulses because of this. I informed her that it grows larger the more food it receives. She is not convinced. She claims that she would become bored of it quickly anyhow. I know it's sick, but how can I find out if she has Asperger's syndrome? I peeked into her private Facebook messages. She is unaware that I discovered the password. That jerk sent me messages saying they merely kissed and he obviously wanted more, among other things. They probably didn't take any more action. They also ran into one another at a bar. Moreover, keep in mind that she is 6 months pregnant. She is unpleasant, constantly feels bad, etc. Probably just the several males and nothing further occurred. 1. She warned me right away by talking to me about her troubles, but I didn't feel anything like that. We had an unending passion for one another. I ignored my friend's advice. 2. My pay is decent. She has no income. Her parents are well off. They provide for her. I am aware of how awful it is, but she's having trouble getting employment. Something strange that I overlooked in the messages I looked through between her and the man. She assured him that she would never leave me and that I was her husband. He became genuinely infuriated. A few days later, I went nuclear on her. I said, "Do you love me?" To begin, I do, she said. I answered, prove it in that case. Either you picked me and never had any contact with him, or I'm no longer in your life. Her response was the difficult part. She requested the evening to consider it, looking agonized. I'm devastated because I believe the solution to be quite clear. As you guys said, she's already rather far away. It still amazes me how self-assured I was. Sometimes life is terrible, and the baby is the one who is truly suffering. It's possible that his parents were split up before he was born. The worst thing that has ever happened to me. Either way, there's no need whining. I appreciate your quick response and unwavering support, everyone. You gave me strength and clear vision. Once again, thank you. She gave me a promise the last time that she wouldn't talk to him about garbage. I kept checking on her and found that to be untrue. I really took it out on her 2 days ago. I let out a yell I had not let out in 3 years. For around 60 minutes, she was told not to have any contact at all with that guy. She would never see me again, and I would go right away. She added him to her phone's blacklist and erased him from Facebook. She assured me that she would stop at nothing to restore our family's direction. I told her that I didn't trust a word she said because she had lied to me much too frequently, and that moment will come. Until I have substantial evidence supporting her actions and words, I will not believe a word that she says or does. I now have access to her phone bills and her Facebook and email passwords, and I will be monitoring her calls on a daily basis. You know, though, I'm not sure whether I'll hold. My affection for her was also tarnished by the whole story. I haven't said anything about it yet. I'll wait and see what occurs, as well as how I feel, later. I refuse to make snap choices, but I will fire her and not back down if she breaks her word. Well, as they say, I'm in a bit of a hard place. However, my survival and sanity depend on me being strong. She doesn't own a car, and we live in a distant area. Yam works long hours and lives far away. Furthermore, she cannot possibly see him without telling me because she is pregnant, exhausted, in pain, etc. Nothing very noteworthy has happened in the last 3 days. We are resolving the issue. She had not communicated with the in more over a week. It doesn't appear to irritate her anymore. I find that to be quite encouraging. Even yet, I can't trust her for a second because I'm jealous and paranoid. The worst part is actually feeling as though you can't trust your soulmate. She claims that if I'm not prepared to follow suit, she won't have an affair. The problem is that I adore my partner and have no desire to have an extramarital affair. Am I really such an odd man? Is it strange not to want to woo every attractive woman you come across? These days, I have no idea what is unusual or not, though few women were bestowed with the virtue of faithfulness. Overall, though, I think the devoted are usually betrayed. Giving your lover everything you have means that they will take advantage of you and have the upper hand in your relationship. That's when they have the opportunity to go over the edge. Fortunately for me, I altered a lot and responded quickly. It's too bad I didn't respond sooner, but it's better than never. She claims that if I'm not prepared to follow suit, she won't have an affair. Remarks, you two should really consider how different your perspectives are on relationships. Her ideas won't go away out of deference. It is hardwired. Not even being pregnant could stop her. She won't tell you when she cheats, but eventually she will. She hoped that by being honest with you, she might maintain her integrity, but she quickly disappeared. She's really grasped the idea that she needs diversity. She believes you are not evolved enough, that you are too simple, and that no one can understand this need. She'll be angry at her supposed jealousy and insecurity. The next time a convenient potential arises, she will tell herself that what he doesn't know won't damage him, which will further erode her regard for you. Opus replies, but I want to fight, I just want her, she's the love of my life, and I won't give up without one. Even if I gain some understanding along the way, I know that the game isn't done because I now have more power over her and understand how she thinks and feels. I can gain control over the relationship and assume the driver's seat if I hit where it hurts. I detest the thought of being in a relationship where there aren't any power fights or leadership conflicts, but I'm okay with things as they are today. Power is a major theme in relationships. She has it, or you have it. You're done with it if she has it. Despite how awful it sounds, she must be restrained. And I will do everything it takes to outsmart anyone who tries because I am the dominant male in our family and no other wolf will be able to replace me. I'll keep a constant eye out. I'm not one to give up quickly, and I think I can overcome this. It won't be simple. I turned down the notion of having an affair, so she gave up on it. Yes, you are correct that we don't share the same opinions on the matter, but we still love each other, so I can't just give up on it. I have to fight for what's right. In our story, I was the one who initially treated her badly and made her suffer a great deal. She stuck by me despite this, which is another reason why I should give her another chance. Today, the roles have switched, but who knows? Maybe tomorrow she won't consider having an affair. In 2 months, we will become parents. Soon, the child's welfare will undoubtedly take precedence over all else. Things are about to shift. Her body's intense chemical flow will soon come to an end. It might positively have a significant impact on her preferences and decisions. Nobody can predict the result, but I will do everything in my power to make it work. All right, so I do have an option, but neither of them is easy. For the time being at least, it would be better to strive to maintain the status quo rather than completely demolish it. I am aware that even with the baby, her sinister cravings won't go away. But generally speaking, I think she'll be a little more balanced. However, I think that going about it another way could be beneficial. I think hitting her where it hurts would also be beneficial. Though I didn't guarantee a victory, I do feel considerably better now than I did before. And in spite of everything, I know she loves me very much. I noticed her expression as I threatened to leave her. She must have truly heard what I was saying for the first time, since it had a profound effect on her. She even admitted to me later that it had altered her. Perhaps just for the time being, but it's still early. I'm confident that she put some of her trash back together after realizing that I was a warrior who could defeat any adversary. Overall, even if I don't win the game, I will still have done my best and won't have any regrets. How come I ever got together with this woman? She is a remarkable young woman. Luminous, astute, gorgeous, affectionate, considering, fair, calm. Really, dude, if any male in this place met a girl like her, he would fall in love right away. She does, however, have a dark side. Like other women, she enjoys luring men in. I suppose they are different from the boundaries she established in her thoughts. Like me, most people choose to ignore their gloomy thoughts and retain them as fantasies. She is unique, and I suppose she would like to realize certain things. I attempt to convey to her that the fantasies ought to stay just that, fandoms. If not, they cease to be imaginations. She confided in me about her thoughts, of which I was completely against, and she battles her darkness in order to maintain our love. That's my interpretation of the facts. Even if I might be a fool, I'll still make an effort to act in the best interests of the situation. Comment: perhaps the Opus's wife is as attractive as he claims, and as a result, he tolerates her actions. But I just feel that having a woman that fishes around is too much hassle. Story 2. I've been married to my wife for 8 of our 9 years together. We were both only 21 when we got married, and 10 days afterward, she fell pregnant. As a stay-at-home father, I have made numerous mistakes. For a significant portion of the marriage, I neglected my fair part of household duties. Alternatively, she wouldn't clean up after herself, so I would give up on doing them. She began to detach 3 years ago. I was aware that I was the cause of her unhappiness, but I was unable to gain input on how to make things better. I sincerely tried to work and improve on the things she shared with me. Even though those 3 years were filled with happiness, I still have images of her that capture her genuine grin and loving gaze. However, we began fighting more and more frequently over time. Not my words, I was merely attempting to communicate with her. They were quite amicable, but as is often the case, harsh remarks were said by both parties, and in the end, I was without a doubt the bigger issue. I found out 5 months ago that she had at least an emotional affair. She denies any physical contact, but she won't even acknowledge that she was allowing another man to woo her. After we made the decision to resolve the conflict, things began to improve. Since we presently live abroad and only have one long-distance phone, we periodically switch phones. I discovered the guy's name was on the list of people who had recently texted her a few months prior when I texted her to ask her a question. A deleted text appeared shortly after, on a day when she hadn't texted me at all. Even though it wasn't what I was looking for, it was simple to notice because her text inbox used to always be filled. Since then, she has been quite possessive of the long-distance phone, wanting me to communicate when I want something before handing it to me. She told me she didn't know how it happened, the BS. I discovered Bruce Wayne, a cat, as a new name on the list of people who had lately contacted me around 2 weeks ago. Yes, you are correct, my wife is currently texting Batman. Upon perusing the phone book, I noticed that the other person has vanished out of nowhere, leaving us with Bruce Wayne, whose number rings familiar. Naturally, she disputes everything. After spending a day out with her female friend 2 Sundays ago, she told me she no longer loved me and that she wanted a divorce. That she has been miserable and afraid to tell me for the past 3 years. She won't contemplate getting married counseling or going through a trial separation, despite my requests. Thus, I will shortly get a divorce. As it is, I have 2 children with her. I will be receiving complete custody of until we get a chance to talk about it later. My in-laws want to assist me with relocating and may even keep an eye on my kids while I attend the Florida Law Enforcement Academy. Even though my wife and I are no longer supposed to be in love, we are still nice and polite with one another, and there is still a spark between us. So, these are the queries I have. 1. She told me yesterday that she did not want to proceed with a separation trial. My goal in fighting for the phone records is not to get closure, but to protect my mental health. On some ways, I could manage it if she had an affair, but I know that if I don't find out, I'll grow angry and unintentionally contaminate my kids' minds. Should I go with her or should I trust her to collect the records on her own if I decide to continue this course? Take legal action as well. How do I deal with my in-laws if she did have an affair? Because I want to tell everyone so that I'm not cruel. Should I notify those who might express their displeasure of her behavior and get her to reconsider her marriage to me and make the necessary correction, if that is the reason she left? Although I'm concerned that the course may cause me to lose my in-laws as family, something I truly don't want to happen, well, yeah. As I previously stated, I am aware that there are other issues that require attention. But if there was no affair, I genuinely believe that spending some time apart will resolve everything. That is, if she would only soften her heart. I will be damned if she deserts her 2 kids along with me, thus no contact works for me. Yes, but I only own the reasons she thought it was acceptable for her to have an affair. I have repeatedly addressed her about it, and she bears the responsibility for having done it. I decided that I needed to know if she wanted a divorce and that I could live with her wanting a trial in September. Since I wasn't attempting to coerce her into preserving the marriage, I kept it a secret from her while she was considering the September trial. I would still accept her back even if I discovered she had done so, but only if she committed to working on us, not just lip service. Since it seems like the last 5 months have been a lie, I have simply lost all faith and trust in this specific subject. To be very honest, based on what I've said, basically, he was just a friend. Does anyone else drop? Fair or not, she is the woman I love, my children's mother, and, when she's not acting like a crazy wife to me, a million other reasons why I want to fight for my marriage. The fact that I come from a broken home and don't want it for my kids is at the bottom of the list. Simply put, she won't entertain any options but a straightforward divorce. Has already set a date for when she intends to resume dating, etc. I understand that I can't make her remain, so I must essentially turn around as much as possible and give her space to miss me. Yes, it's a little more difficult coming from an overseas military household. All I ask is that she keep the documents until she returns to the United States. Now that I know it will make pulling the 180 much easier, I really do want to go back. It's impossible for me to organize things from here. As an aside, like most young couples, her excessive spending and my failure to set limits are the main reasons for our high debt. Despite her criticism that I have too much power over money, I haven't had enough. I would also prefer for us to pay off all of our debt and be debt-free, even if she decides to pursue a divorce. The part that keeps punching me in the stomach is that last bit. She hasn't been happy for a while, as I mentioned, and she has been making an effort, but it all seems like a big case of walk-away wife. She doesn't seem to seek a meaningful relationship with OM. I might be mistaken, but I firmly believe that O is not all that there is. M greater than what she will acknowledge. Now it's time to confront her parents. As it stands, I intend to stay with them until I get back on my feet when I leave this place. I have been a stay-at-home father for the past 7 years and am currently abroad. I actually am starting from scratch because I have no resources. Regarding the affair, I believe it's simply her method of allowing her heart to grow stony. Although I doubt I'll post it here, hard evidence should be available soon. We'll keep you all updated. As hard of proof, that is, as hard as I can get without going after her and taking a photo of her pants around her ankles. I understand that you should disclose it to her employer, but since she is in the military, I don't want her to run afoul of the law. Undoubtedly, I was the dominant one in the relationship, but I was never the quiet kind. I've always been really assertive. I just always let my feelings get in the way of believing her, and then I'd apologize. Apologizing for every altercation is not the solution. Indeed, I had known for a long time that there was something more going on. That is, I knew I would find the proof through phone statements, and I knew what to do with it. In addition, I fix things. I have an extremely analytical mind that uses the available information to draw conclusions before attempting to solve an issue. I was clearly doing something incorrectly. Even so, I did pamper and lavish her with my acts of compassion. It will be difficult to implement the shoulder routine while she and the children live together, but because she is staying in Japan, I want the kids to spend as much time as possible with their mother before they are separated from her for a year or more. Is a solitary man. Not even a man, as I've already gone ahead and confronted him. Appear terrified. Not the kind where we're going to frighten ourselves to death. But fear not, things are becoming dire. Obtaining the phone records is difficult because we live in Japan. Nevertheless, she is no longer arguing with me about it, and we are heading into town to speak with a better phone company branch in order to obtain those records. Not her alone herself, not her with a companion, but me and her accompanying me. Step 1 of a decent care's advice was eventually taken by me. I always tried to talk to her about it this time, but first I set the boundaries and warned her that breaking them would have consequences. She may be divorcing me, but for the time being, we are still married, I informed her, adding that I was weary of being treated disrespectfully. In any case, since I am her child's father, I will be honored and not mistreated. Although I wasn't actually in a bad mood that entire night, she insisted that I appeared to be. I felt fantastic. All night long, I just had this resolved. I'm not going to cater to you expression on my face and went about doing my business. I'm done chasing you all, including her, for instructing me to listen to her dad. Thank you very much. I've had enough of being the sentimental check in person. She went over one of my boundaries, and for that I am done apologizing. She called me at 6:30 a.m. this morning, pleading with me to bring her boots, since she had left them at home with one of her friends. After telling her that I was sleeping and would bring them when I woke up, I abruptly hung up the phone, having had terrible sleep for the previous 2 weeks. Yes, she did find some of my good guy qualities endearing, but I was also more of a jerk in the past. It's funny how you perceive yourself as growing into a better guy and fulfilling their requests by improving the areas they most frequently complain about, but in reality, all you are accomplishing is alienating them. Not to be spiteful, but I find myself thinking back to our first argument when she broke down in sobs and I failed to go find her and apologize. She also cuddled up to me in bed last night. Yes, the bed is still ours to share. She is not leaving the house, even if she is living abroad and part of it. Not my decision, but hers. I established my limit. Whether we are successful in keeping our marriage intact or not, she is still my wife and has 2 children living under our roof who will not see their mother for a very long time. People have told me that I should start treating myself with respect once more. My self-respect has been destroyed by being a stay-at-home dad, and I haven't been content with that. I truly felt like my testosterone was evaporating, even though I like my kids and value the additional time I get to spend with them. Hell, how many men do you know who can honestly claim to have watched every episode of Charmed? Not many, I know, but still. I also won't get out of bed. She'd prefer to sleep it off. In the end, she cuddles up to me while I sleep soundly. Although I normally sleep very well, lately I haven't been at all. But should I give her a timeline for the entire one day at a time thing? I considered telling her that the clock stops when she returns to the United States when her tour is over, without going into details. Though I doubt I will ever truly move on and stop bringing the emotional burden I currently bear to everyone else, I also can't put my life on hold indefinitely in anticipation of the day she returns home. She just called, and as soon as she got nasty, she talked about heading to court before I could acquire phone records. I promised her that I would go, but that I wouldn't sign anything until I had those phone records. She insulted me and said things like, "You're bullying me and trying to guilt-trip me." After confronting her, she continued to act disrespectfully, so I hung up and said goodbye. And as everyone else has been saying here, I don't care if she hides it more at first. I'm powerless over her. Second, I have to consider my needs, including my emotional stability, the welfare of my kids, and the possibility that she is already divorcing me. What difference does it make, then? She begins to genuinely understand the ramifications of her conduct. It's funny how when I do something for myself and refuse to sign documents until I obtain those phone records, I suddenly start to bully and stall her. She just can't seem to accept the fact that it has nothing to do with her. It is related to me. I've had enough pushing. I've had enough chasing. I'm over trying to be the only one. She is aware that I exist, but she is unaware that I am currently messaging her dad to explain everything, even the time a few years ago when she became physically intrigued. I provoked her physical curiosity so that we might have an emotional affair. You know how they say that hindsight is 20/20 and everything. Well, I didn't realize it at the time, but I believe that event was what started us down this path. So I sent a message to my father-in-law. I tried my best to ensure that it wasn't derogatory in any way. I told him everything that was going on, including some significant past incidents like me unintentionally having an ayah with the person with whom she was exploring her fantasies through her current ayah and most likely a pia. I haven't heard back from him yet. I assured him that I had no intention of dragging him into this and that I only needed him to know this in case things got personal because I needed the phone record. Need them because I need them, not because I want or need things to turn unpleasant. Mental stability and well-being for my children and myself. And the reason I won't sign anything unless I'm satisfied. I'm eager to find out what lies she has in store for the new me. In addition, I wonder if her father will listen to me, comprehend what I'm saying, confront her, and instill even more guilt in her for what she has done. No, I don't want to be retaliatory. All I want is for her to reap the consequences of her actions and stop putting cake on my emotional tap. Another update, once again. For me, this has been really restorative. I accepted it when she informed me that she had spent the weekend camping at a bike exhibition, and Abler had even come to pick her up. I told her that it was impolite the way she approached me about it. Fortunately, she told me in the car with the kids there that I nearly blew up at first. My opportunity presented itself as I was ready to leave to go to the supermarket. When she returned, the automobile wished her a happy weekend. I told her when I got to the house that I didn't like the disrespect she had shown me and that I wouldn't put up with it. In her initial statement, she said, "I said yes when Enabler asked me to attend the bike festival this weekend." It immediately struck me as one of her signature no-win scenarios. She's already committed to going out. She had not even spoken to me when she made these plans. If I tell her no, I'm controlling her because I had this planned. Yes, I am a doormat good man if I pretend to be happy and say yes. I encouraged her to stop trying to control herself and just do what she wanted to do, but I felt like the way she handled this was disrespectful to me. Since I stopped chasing yesterday, I am unquestionably done. Her father received a mixed message that said, "Screw it, I'm just coming clean," and panic mode. Yes, there was bad information about her in there, but it wasn't meant to be offensive. Take a look at what's going on. I value guys and I'm not expecting you to side with me, but this is why I have to take the necessary action. I understand that in a manner, I'm justifying my behavior to them. However, in my opinion, it was more of an assertive, "Here's the truth, here's how I see it," attitude that made you either accept me or not. while other postings had indicated that the family was going to the Cherry Blossom Festival today. W, it seems, had other plans and chose to spend the entire weekend camping with the girls. Yes, I am aware that it no longer bothers me. Said to speak with the father-in-law already. We had a nice conversation this morning, so I'm not worried about that anymore. Despite the great weather, we chose to take the kids to the Cherry Blossom Festival. Ultimately, they weren't at fault and had planned to leave. Had a pleasant time. Consumed some ice cream. Yes, they did. A 4-year-old created a complete disaster for herself. Kids enjoyed the little Japanese-style gondola I wrote down on the river. Overall, I believe I require it for today. It wasn't so horrible. It only showed me what lies ahead without the W. Years have passed since she last participated in it, and I was a married single father. I feel like I can do anything now that I have the confidence from today, that I don't need her. To be honest, there were a few difficult times, mostly when the kids brought her up, and I had to force myself to pretend like I was telling the truth while lying through my teeth. I want reconciliation and I still love my W, but what the hell am I doing with a woman who isn't spending every second she has with her kids and who is about to be away from them for over a year? Really, I understand that there is a lot of fog, but this is unacceptable. She shouldn't have to penalize my kids for the decisions she is making in life. I believe she may choose to terminate all ties. I got the impression from this that she didn't really care about her kids. I'm relieved she won't battle me for custody. Matter is due to them. I'm ready to hang up the towel and call it quits on this. Shall I arrange to give her the "I want you to be around the kids" speech, but you have to either respect me or shut up by now? For the sake of my children, I want the D to be civil. I know she's probably just using this weekend to hang out with the females to spend time with other men. Aid. Even the way she approached me about it was impolite. She is barely concealing other men and has no intention of making amends. However, I can't help but think of my children and how this might be the last time they ever see their mother. She is indeed that lost in the mists. The only explanation I can think of is that you won't be seeing your kids for a year or longer, and you won't be utilizing every spare moment. But I'm starting to really just want this to be over with. Though I don't have to be with her, I still want to be. I don't need her in my children's life, but I want her in theirs. Although I'm sure she is aware of my knowledge, accusing hasn't helped and is actually making me get divorced. And believe me, I understand that she isn't the ideal role model for them, but I was raised in a dysfunctional home where politics between the parents were a constant. It's just getting harder to balance my wants and my children's needs, and I hate both of my parents for it. Not the other man, but the divorce was what I meant to imply when I said throw in the towel. You do not toss a towel. I want her to know that she gave up everything for nothing, so I'm trying to set up a difficult moment where I come back and simply knock her off her feet, at least as far as the fog is concerned. Hell, the guy is a little b-boy, and I would be sitting in jail right now, joyfully, might I add, if I weren't a married man and a father, since my moral compass doesn't find anything wrong with taking revenge. Although I don't use it often, I have no issues with it. However, I get your point that perhaps it's time to exact revenge on the wife. Please give her what she deserves, which isn't a damn thing from me, without being cruel or mean in the process. I just wanted to say that even though I'm very confident this weekend was a success, it was really beneficial to me. I slept easily both nights despite going to bed late. Normally, I only eat one good meal per day and graze the rest of the time. I had 2 good meals over the course of the 2 days. Altogether, it was excellent. But today, a lot of the tension and worry are coming back. Yes, I understand that things will get easier with time, but in the present circumstances, NC isn't really working, and even if it does, the kids will still require LC, and by having no other men with her, I mean having NC or LC. She is currently too far gone from me and too mired in her own delusions for NC to be a reality with another man, as has been advised. Indeed, want my D is final. She will need to put in a lot of work if she wants to make things right. She was more successful than she thinks in walking away from this guy because he will re-enter the market. Based on what women say, single fathers who treat women with affection and don't trash their ex are cool. I also took off my ring today. My finger feels so bare now, but I used to miss it when it would fall off. No, it feels freeing and weightless. She is aware of the significance of my ring to me. It will be interesting to see her response and whether she decides not to ring it up in response to my remark. Update: she isn't even battling the kids for me. All I have to do is move to Florida. The kids are mine, the state in where her parents live. That's all there is to it. Like I never ever met her. I despise California, where the rest of my biological family is living, so I joined the military to escape my home state. For me, this is actually not a problem. Moving to Florida is not a problem for me. Many of the individuals who help me out there are members of her own family. I never had a breakdown where I thought I was going to die. I've wanted my family since I was a little child. Before I ever asked her to marry me, I was completely forward and honest with her about this. Having a family was, and still is, my greatest life ambition and aspiration. Though she is the one who became resentful of family life, there are moments when I wish she had been a more integral part of it. I acknowledge that I played a part in this, and I also understand that she is lying to me about half of the reasons she is giving. She left mostly because she wanted to return to high school. You understand that it's me and not you, so either you need to fix me or I can already be there as someone else. The overwhelming weight of the data suggests that she doesn't grasp what life will be like without her family because she is already with someone else. I will make her work hard till D is finalized. Any hope of a simple reconciliation vanishes once D is final. Things became much easier for me after I came to terms with the reality that I want her but don't need her. I'm shocked that it was so simple for me to get there, but I believe that my 6 months of deceit were the catalyst. I am aware of my shortcomings, but I also know that I am a nice man. I'm confident that I'll get back up, travel to the United States, and provide for what's left of my family. I also understand that my romantic life is not finished. I may not be the most gorgeous man in the world, but I think that being a single father who prioritizes his children's needs over his own and treats them with respect makes me a very appealing person, so I will know when I'm ready. Someone who can accept and desires the kind of love, even though it might take some time. I know good guys don't stay on the market for long, and since I'm a good man, I promise to be firmer and stick to my limits in our next relationship, whether it's a reconciliation with her or someone else. Maybe in a few years, maybe in 20. Put an end to these pointless games, tests, and other absurdities. I made her sit down and listen to me after she returned from her trip. It's true that I told her I was done caring about the records at first. Even if I am mistaken, she has already shown me that I cannot trust her on that. Thus, whether it is true or not does not change the fact that she is lying. That surprised her throughout the remainder of the conversation. I proceeded to inform her that I would not be treated disrespectfully anymore. She will accept that till the divorce is finalized, if she wants to stay in this house and spend these last few months there with her children. She'll be appreciative of me. She leaves the home if I see her speaking to Am. She's going out of the house if she tries to play these mindless games with me. I informed her that while I wouldn't oppose the divorce, she would have to remain open-minded if she wanted to remain in the house. She must stop disparaging me and pointing out all the mistakes I made. The kids feel like their mother has abandoned them, I informed her. That her divorcing the family is what matters, not her divorcing me. She cut off contact with her kids at the same moment she cut off contact with me, telling them that they didn't deserve this and that I would not put up with it. Finally, I informed her that was it, that is, after the D was finished. I won't be her backup plan, even though she could yet have a shot. There are many women in the world who can respect and appreciate a man like me, even though I'm a fine man, a decent husband, and a darn excellent father. If she can't learn to value and appreciate me, then I'm sure as hell. And the majority of women would consider themselves fortunate to have a partner who was there for them no matter what. Naturally, we'll keep you informed, but that was my Sunday, and let me tell you, it felt really, really wonderful. Seeing the tears that were welling up in her eyes made me believe that I had partially broken through the mist. Not that I expected to last. Nevertheless, I'm confident in myself, and we'll see what today holds. I'm going to the doctor to get some medication or something to help me sleep better because I'm getting tired. Would also like a temporary prescription for some mood stabilizers or antidepressants, but I don't want the mental health department to keep an eye on my case as I go through the law enforcement academy. The daily news update. Make sure you are securely fastened into your chair. I simply used basic legal. Divorce proceedings cannot be conducted here. Her attorney has now arrived. I can begin it there if my lawyer, who is stationed at a separate base, has a family court. That being said, she is limited to filing for separation documents. As many people are aware, these separation documents are typically used to support the judge's decisions throughout divorce processes. As a result, the military says I have a right to at least 60% of her gross income, which does not include her uniform allowance but does include shit for living abroad. That does not include any alimony, it is only for child support for the 2 children. I therefore want to return to the United States, work on myself, and really give her the whole 180. She will immediately forfeit more than half of her compensation and give it to me. No, I don't wish to exact revenge on anyone or be vengeful. However, I am aware of our income, her spending habits, the bills that are solely in her name, and their associated costs. Although the hammer hasn't reached the bell yet, prepare for a massive blow to the ass. And sure, as soon as I pulled away after leaving her off back at work, I burst out laughing and nearly drove off the bridge. How I love you, irony. She is unhappy with me and is getting a divorce. She understands how miserable it will be for her to struggle to make ends meet while my wages from when I returned to the States would all go into spending. This is very amazing. She is sick of me reflecting her, to start with. Monotone, even when I'm angry, you know that. I haven't been speaking out much. She expressed that it seemed as though you no longer loved me, which she allowed me the opportunity to answer. You wanted a divorce from me, I told her. Despite my disapproval of your choice, a tone I'll do, I respect your decision. But I have to emotionally separate from you in order to accept it. Although I'm not too unhappy inside, I'm sick of putting my feelings in words for you. She seems quite distressed and thoughtful about that. At last, she also highlighted a couple things that I had been doing incorrectly. It was all small scale, but it was the kind of thing that explains her disconnection. It presented me with the chance, given that she began the sentence by saying, "I have been begging for just this for 3 years, for her to come clean with me." She also revealed that she doesn't take the simple route, allowing her the option to say yes or no. The simplest solution is to remain married while neither party changes. However, I also don't want that. The real challenge is to remain married and do personal growth at last. Although I have my problems, you are the one seeking a divorce. It is also you who runs from disagreement at all costs and emotionally distances yourself before someone may damage you. The main factors that caused our divorce. She then agreed with a small nod of her body. During the whole thing, we mentioned the kids at some point. She mentioned that I've implied that she doesn't care for the children, which, while not stated, may have been inferred. She was furious that I had said, "I'm taking the kids bowling tonight, you can come if you like," when I picked her up from work. My 6-year-old has been requesting to go bowling for the past 9 months. I realize that's not the nicest way to put it. I've been attempting to convince the family to go, but we've never made it since she refused to go, and I was fed up with my son being unable to bowl because his mother simply wasn't in the mood. I took the opportunity to clarify that the children's behavior also indicated that they felt their mother had cut off contact with them at the same time that she had cut off contact with me. They truly believe that their mother is divorcing the family, not me. This is learned from both talking to them about their sentiments and from seeing how they behave around them. Yes, I reassure them that their mother loves them, but when they ask questions that I am unable to answer or can only answer in an offensive way, I inform them that I am unable to provide a response. In other news, she can't divorce me until she remarries, according to what she read in her legal packet. Observe that we were married in Japan. Outsiders cannot get a divorce in Japan unless one of the spouses is a resident. In the U.S., our marriage needs to be recognized by federal law, must declare to the state that we are wed. That is not something we have ever done. Since our marriage is formally recognized in Japan rather than the U.S., we must file the necessary documents domestically in order to file for divorce. Life is wonderful, isn't it? She is gradually beginning to come clean, that is, not only to me, but to herself as well. Apart from the fact that she made me into a domineering beta, I can handle everything. Many of you here are aware of what I mean. I pushed and tried for 3 years, but I never received feedback because she was afraid she would damage someone she loved. She acts in this way toward her parents as well as everyone else in her life. She is an appeaser who is passive-aggressive. She would much sooner whistle her way over the waterfall than assist someone who is trying to row to shore and is in need of assistance. Still, I plan to continue experimenting with other combinations of the tactics. She will need to make contact in the future. I'm done bringing up important topics. If she wants to talk about them, we can have a conversation. I will continue to show my affection for her by doing the small tasks around the house she has been talking about, since I know such things matter. I believe this one has scared her the most and has probably had the largest influence, therefore I will continue to draw the hard line on respect. Even if I want to keep trying to keep my marriage intact, I won't let myself be the only one. The proverbial ball is in her court. I'm planning my life for myself and my children without her right now, and I'll be all right with or without her. And I'll keep waiting for the opportunity to tell her straight out how miserable her life will be after getting divorced. And when we spoke yesterday, I expressed my gratitude to her for being so honest with me. For being honest, for not discounting my emotions, and for seeking explanation when I made a mistake in what I said. I followed suit, letting her speak and trying not to minimize her emotions. I'm considering telling her that I'm going to file for divorce early. Since I started using a mixed strategy, things have significantly improved, but the kids should start adjusting now if I have to live alone with them. This is one of the things I'm conflicted about since I'm not sure how I feel about it. But why is she still living in the house if she implies there is no chance for reconciliation? Given that we continue to live abroad, this creates a financial minefield. She obviously doesn't want to discuss it, but I'm not sure how complicated things are at the moment. It's easy for me in many aspects, but I continue to be weak when it comes to my children. Earlier today, my kid expressed his anger at his mother for no longer wanting to spend time with him. I don't want to waste the children's limited time, even if I know I can't be a decent guy. Although the W appears to be a little less sleepy at the moment, she is still more of a nuisance than anything. I want her to wake up and smell the proverbial coffee. Yes, I will talk to him about it and see what my legal counsel says when I get back. She can give me advice but cannot represent me in a civil case. After speaking with legal for a while, I realized that there isn't really any chance for her to divorce me from this place. Anything that is opposed will not be heard by the Japanese courts. Additionally, they have no interest in having anything to do with American child support or custody jurisdictions. On set, we set aside some time to discuss everything. I'm going to give her the big reveal then. She hasn't done any of her real job as usual. Instead, she has just been listening to how simple this and that are. As things stand right now, I will essentially receive 60% of her income for the remainder of her life if she proceeds as she pleases. Yes, and I also have a claim to a portion of her retirement. For the LS who wish to keep the marriage intact, things are becoming better and better, but for the WS who desire to divorce, things are becoming worse and worse. She has an enormous hammer poised above her skull, so I hope she wakes up before the D since I still adore her. It was a strange night last night. She is working on one thing, and I am focusing on another, so we decided that Sunday would be conversation day. We then decided to go this weekend. The four of us alone. These arrangements are designed for Cito to avoid conflict with Sunday. When I get home, I wash the dishes and we play a few video games together. You understand that talk quality time chat. You are aware of superficial matters. She then adopts her typical endearing, mushy demeanor. Last night, she even turned over in bed and cuddled up with me. However, try not to read too much into it. I believe that she has finally cut things up with totally, but she's currently lost in divorce fog. I'm not sure what precisely I'll discuss on Sunday. Consider the possibility that it has to do with her intentions to date. She's going to face her with some of her own emotion and behaviors if she gets the chance. I know I can't come across as her enemy, so maybe confront is the incorrect term. However, I also realize that I shouldn't put my balls back in her handbag. I genuinely believe that the way I treated her over the weekend severely disturbed her and her beliefs. The weekend was, well, strange. In terms of getting me out of here and back to the States, she hasn't done anything. She mentioned that she had a terrible day at work on Friday, but I just listened to her and raised my hand to ask questions about his problem. In this manner, she wouldn't believe that I was interjecting to correct it. We all went out together after waking up early on Saturday, spent a bit too much money, but it was all right. We returned really late, and before going to bed, I told her I had to tell her something. I took her head in my hands, kissed her once, and told her I was sorry. She gave him a kiss in return. I basically told her everything when she pleaded for forgiveness for something. The following day, she wasn't talking to her about it, but she was still interested in it. Sunday chat was light. She didn't have anything to offer me, and I'm sticking to the 180-degree plan of withholding information. Because of it, I am really bad at it. Briefly discussed her plans for after D. She doesn't really have any, and the realization that she didn't really have any kind of shocked her. My emotions were strong yesterday, so I thought a roller coaster would be awesome. I was all up and down for some reason. When she finally left her job, she was completely worn out. Everything went smoothly that evening. Since the grocery store was closed, we all ate out. I saw a lot of mistakes in her last night's speech. I'm not sure if that was deliberate or not. Discuss maintaining the joint account after I returned to the United States. She gave us, a lot. I didn't call her about it. She also provided me with my ideal husband list. It was brief and overwhelmingly good. She's still under a lot of stress at work. Been improving my ability to simply listen. It seems like she is currently withholding the big D, but if I make a mistake, I'm sure it will return to its original form. However, it appears that she has maintained an open heart to any adjustments I have made and will continue to make. Once more, not tailoring the adjustments to her. The modifications are for me, but I do hope she notices. Please don't misunderstand, I want to stay married to her. With everything going on, I know that in 10 years, I will be able to tell my child, yes, I tried my best, while also looking them in the eye. I made an effort, both through the old, flawed me, and the new, improved me. Best of mine. All I can say, child, is that your father never gave up. Overall, I think the evening went really well, but I'm still not sure why I chose to experience yesterday's emotional roller coaster. It has gone fairly nicely so far today. Twice, she attempted to trick me into doing fitness tests. I believe I handled things nicely. It was the big fitness test on Thursday. It's one that I failed at back when we first got married. Before we get to the latest incident, let's recap the earlier one. Hello, my mother wants to take me out for a woman's day out, which includes getting my nails done and getting a haircut. Sounds fantastic. However, you're not going to chop your hair too short, are you? I promise, just a trim, no honey. All right, enjoy yourselves. When Mill and her sister return a few hours later, her hair is really short. I should be saying that looks beautiful, honey, but instead I get irritated with the broken promise and make a fool of myself. Here is the recently updated version. Pick her up after work. My hair has to be chopped. I selected a few styles. Please share your thoughts with me. Kind of thinking, what the heck does it matter at this point? However, I am forced to observe her facial expressions while she describes each style to me. Fortunately, the one she reacted to the most is also the one I liked the best. I appreciate how she drove to the beauty salon with a fast touch and a smile. I'll grab my phone and give you a call when I'm through. The children require naps, and it shouldn't take that long. I have no trouble waiting. A genuine smile that isn't twisted or nasty. Okay, just in case, we'll take it anyhow. Sincerely, I wanted to sit there because my kid is a grumpy diva when she doesn't get her beauty sleep and is foregoing on 21. She emerges an hour and a half later and proudly displays her hair. It looks good, baby. Yes, I still refer to her by her pet names, but I've always done so. They've just shifted from being something like kid to honey. One more sincere grin. After that, she offers to make dinner and joins me in watching TV while we sit on the love seat. Let's just say that this week has been strange. It seems as though has vanished, to the extent that she is no longer hanging out with pals. She has also said some strange things about my return to the United States. In any case, even if we decide to stay married, I would really like to stay here with her. I have to protect my family's future, which includes maintaining the joint account. She is no longer thinking only about the divorce, and it seems like she is truly paying attention to the family as a whole, not just to me. This past weekend, she received another invitation, however it was a harmless one. Discovered from outside sources with images what actually transpired, which was just 2 girls hanging around. But this time, she informed her pal, "It's not fair to my family, I can't go for the entire weekend again. I'm not going to get my hopes up too high because I've been on a roller coaster lately, but I'm settled with what happens either way mentally and emotionally. There is still a fair amount of pain to deal with, which has to be dealt with either way." She didn't say kids, she said family and let me think about it. She then came and talked to me before giving her friend an answer. She even talked about having a date night with me. One last thing to note, it's funny how, even though they no longer love you, the minute you stop putting everything on a silver platter, they begin to show concern and care once more. She could only take about 36 hours of me not caring. I continue to turn it on occasionally. It was a shocking awakening, in my opinion, after 3 years of I don't give a damn about her. I assured her I will defend my marriage until the divorce is official in the conversation I had with her one day as well. It's it when it occurs. She was devastated by my decision to go on and not be your second choice. Even though she is still only meeting me halfway, I am currently taking one step back for every stride she takes forward. We've strayed into such a fantastical place that, if that makes any sense at all, my new spot is on her side of the road. I'm trying to walk her back to the middle of the road. It's talk day into paperwork day on Sunday, and naturally, neither she nor I really know what to do with the paperwork. She also wishes to avoid speaking with legal. Oh, I almost forgot. Make sure you are securely fastened in your chair or pushed away from your desk. Recall that I mentioned she had no desire to attend counseling. She insists on at least one counseling session before sending me to the States to get it certified, claiming that it is irreparable and harmful to the government. I sincerely hope the counselor is not a cowardly yes man who insists that he needs to attend some group sessions. Her to decide what to do. We've been having a lot of fun recently, and she's done a terrific job opening up to me. However, I still believe she is mired in the hypothetical what-if phase. She did really have an E, or maybe a P. However, she actually feels strangled in her family. He was only a tool, and the actual affair isn't with another Her sense of loss of independence stems from the genuine affairs. We met when we were 20, got married soon after turning 21, and became pregnant soon after. Her military career came to an end due to a slew of poor orders. Since being with me, her self-esteem has improved, but she is still too kind and too scared to hurt anyone. We are limited in what we can accomplish since our finances aren't as fantastic as they could be. Usually need to dig us a little hole before we can accomplish anything really enjoyable. There were very few dates, despite her indicated desire to go out alone with me. I don't mind if she has male friends, but I do want to get to know them and make sure they value my marriage and me. To be honest, I don't think much of her male coworkers, even though she's a gorgeous woman. The majority of her female coworkers are either A, fearful of commitment, hateful of men, or B, some married women, as well as single women, don't value marriage. All in all, the issues we were facing on our own were compounded by a highly hazardous atmosphere. Because there is no way out because you are in the military. She has to find anything to control her suffering. My 2 amazing children and I were the center of the chaos in our home. She can never have that life again, yet honestly, it is that carefree existence that calls to her. She will still have to cope with duties even if she decides to divorce both me and the kids. If she is not in their life, she will assist me in covering the cost of their care. After that, putting her through the consequences of her decisions and being sternly loving her there. Owning the results of one's decisions is what defines true freedom, not the quantity of options available. It appears that she is beginning to realize that. Though not there yet, it is. As my friend and the mother of my kids, I asked her to attend counseling. Not to keep our marriage intact, but to keep our friendship intact and make sure we don't turn into resentful individuals who use the kids as weapons. She promised to give it some thought. She informed me that although she is giving it a lot of thought, she is unsure of when she will file for divorce. She was just telling me that. Additionally, they discussed various other unimportant but ongoing topics. I idled away a solid hour talking. It seems that my criticism of her selfishness and desire for someone to blame resonated with her on some level. She is still not accepting responsibility, in my opinion. Perhaps it was the stern love she needed for the things she did not do the same as mine. If so, her companion unintentionally assisted with that. Thank God for friends who occasionally experience emotional breakdowns that compel W.S. must confront every LS simply informed them. In other news, I am receiving verified tidings that OM is fully gone and has been ever when she informed me about the divorce. I doubt that the man was being utilized as a tool. I'm starting to think that she merely needed me to be as crazy as possible to make things easier for her. Nothing physical had transpired. Not to mention that he has attempted to manipulate events in order to regain her time. They follow the same orders. The looks of contempt she has given and utilized when discussing the fact that leaving the military is not an option make the glances and voice used on me over the past few months seem warm and caring, even though they are not directed at me. In fact, she is mostly responsible for starting the several plans we have made to go out together. I'm not getting my hopes up, and I'm not even close to believing that my marriage is salvageable. To ensure that you are never let down, always assume the worst and hope for the best. However, things appear to be improving. After several days, we completed the separation paperwork first. Then there was the 2-hour conversation that developed into a lecture on her emotionally narcissistic behavior. The half an hour when I made her face me rather than scurry off to chat to someone else. Frankly, I believe that is what kept the 2-hour discussion alive. I forced her to vent her annoyance at me. No, I didn't physically detain her. Instead, she went to the bedroom to change after we had a conversation about how she needed to leave. I simply shut the bedroom door and took a position facing it. I would have moved if she had only attempted to open the door. Rather, she let me feel her fury, and it felt amazing. Then came the half hour of my father's transgressions. Extremely emotionally abusive man who has given me the impression that my only option is to make mistakes. Next, we cuddled up on the couch to watch The Dark Knight together. The children emerged to join us. After that, I went to the theater and saw Beastly. Although the conflict scene was undercooked, the film was still really good. I went home and gave her the letter I had been working on that day. Discussed the mentioned letter. Once more, primarily me. In case any of you haven't noticed, I tend to be wordy. Began to sound like a lecture, so I cut it short. I went to the bedroom, where I became vocally dominant, and when I came out, we talked about the day's events as well as other topics. Went to bed after that. Despite everything, my Easter Sunday was not zen. To what extent it hurt or helped, I'm still not sure. I'm aware of my father's transgressions, yet it still made me feel better. Everything was things I had to get rid of. I refused to allow her to emotionally abuse me. In fact, the letter asked whether you would continue to see me as the villain. I'm going to take on the role of antagonist. You are attempting to paint me as the evil person while I am the good man right now, but I can make it simple for you by playing the bad guy because, if I am going to be the bad guy, I will do it in style. Yes, it's evident that I still have unanswered questions regarding what transpired on Sunday. Good news. She consented to receiving counseling, and has freely consented to it for her own reasons. Yes, she wants to depart in order to keep our friendship intact, make sure we can coexist while still communicating effectively about the kids, and make sure the kids won't witness us acting like mother and daddy against one another. However, it's a start. She wants to accomplish it for herself, not for me. Bravo. Even if it's not much, I will nonetheless accept this little win. I am aware that neither she nor we will get better by magic. However, she is leaving with an open heart, an open mind, and no resentment. She went out 4 times out of 5 weekends this past month. All of them were trips with girls, some of them lasting overnight and some only for the day. And as I already mentioned, those are the only sources I used, and they are trustworthy ones. She also informed me that she is attempting to maintain her composure and keep on track by not going out any weekends in May. Although it's difficult right now, I'm glad she's beginning to give in. I have the opportunity to be the man she loves because she is sick today as well. Take care of her, show her what she loves about me, and serve as a constant reminder that I am a decent man, not only with words. I plan to play with her hair, let her take a sleep, and then wake her up for the things that matter to her while we watch TV together on the couch, most likely with her head resting on my lap. Everything went fine yesterday. I downloaded a few little, casual games for her to play. Earlier in the day, I had spoken with my father-in-law and told her what he had to say that wasn't personal. Not that I could tell him those details as though she had mentioned them to him. She is definitely his daughter, yet he would deny it to her. She continued talking about not going out on the weekends in the upcoming month. The way she said things, it seemed like she was aware that she was looking for happiness outside of her family and was being unjust to me and the kids. I won't address her about it. However, she recommended that we spend Memorial Day weekend at one of the beaches, maybe spend a night or 2 in a hotel, and simply get away from the base. Naturally, I complied as it allows me to emphasize my strengths. Her first counseling appointment is today at 5 p.m., following her workday. Yes, she did agree to it, but before she could back down, I moved quickly, like a viper. She was somewhat duped into attending as it is still done under the guise of conversation. Don't get me wrong, even in the event of a divorce, communication is something we will still need to improve, which, lately, hasn't been as tangible for her. I will always have her in my life because I have 2 amazing children. However, I'm hoping that after some joint therapy, she'll be open to going to individual treatment so that we can move in together as a couple. Though I wouldn't bet on it, a guy can harbor hopes. Regarding myself and individual counseling, I have my share of shortcomings and inner demons, but I truly need help with joint skills related to improving my listening, communicating, and, most importantly, expressing myself. My spouse must find it difficult since, despite my impression that I perform a great job here, I actually come across as a judgmental ass when I'm in person. As a side note, the ending will be different. Please subscribe. Let me finish the ending for you guys.